Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app, O'Connor and Company.
Glenn Youngkin hears this music and he wants to jump right onto a campaign stage at a rally. He wants to start throwing basketballs to the crowd and starts asking for their votes. But sadly, he's in his final year as governor of Virginia. He's not running for anything that we know of, and so we'll just have to use it as his walk-on music. Governor Youngkin, good talking with you. Thanks for being here.
Hey, good morning, Larry. Good morning, Patrice. I hope you're well. Listen, thanks for letting me join you this morning. Can I just start by thanking all of our first responders this week?
Please.
You know, we've had some heavy rain, and we've had some flash flooding in Petersburg and in Warrenton and Fauquier County, and our first responders were amazing. They worked all night. They made sure everybody was safe. They had numerous water rescues, and I'm just so proud of them. And I just want to thank the Lord for our first responders this morning.
Yeah, amen, especially when you see the horrific scenes down in Texas, of course, over the July 4th weekend and looking back to the hurricanes in North Carolina and all of that. It's something that I think people take for granted when they've got a governor, who isn't responsible for looking after these things and making sure that the people of the state or the Commonwealth of Virginia are safe. But I've got to think that this is a daily task for you to sort of be on top of these things and make sure that everything is put in place.
Well, first of all, let me begin. We have amazingly professional first responders. And when I was speaking with fire chiefs and police chiefs and sheriffs this week, they were in action going. The dispatchers were amazing, getting people where they needed to be. The swiftwater rescue crews were acting with the great training and professionalism that they have. And we have great teams. But I will tell you, one of the things that I have made a top priority is we're going to move fast. We're going to move state resources where needed. And I'm just so proud of everybody and how they executed this week.
Well, and I heard that you and your family had a firsthand sort of experience with those Texas floods. Is that right?
Well, my family, we've had a family place on the Guadalupe River for a long time. And we had my family plus some guests down there on 4th of July. I was up in Virginia doing a naturalization ceremony down in Hampton Roads, and they were very lucky. I have to say, by God's grace, they escaped any major peril. Although there was a period of time where they were not safe, and our hearts pour out. I mean, there's 135 souls that have been lost in the Guadalupe floods in Texas, and there's still 100 people missing. Again, the first responders were amazing. The search and rescue teams have been absolutely dedicated to recovering every single victim. And we've had folks on the ground from Bristol, from Newport News, from Virginia Beach helping. And I just want to thank all of them for once again recognizing that this takes everyone in order to recover from a flood like this. And so, our hearts pour out, and we just lift everybody up into God's grace for those horrific floods in Texas.
Amen. Amen. Shifting gears just a little bit to talk about business investment in Virginia. You announced at Google's headquarters an interesting partnership to boost AI workforce training development and other, areas of expanding AI. Can you talk to us about what the goals that you're trying to accomplish with this are?
Of course, first of all, Virginia's job opportunities have grown enormously over the last 3.5 years. There's 270,000 more people working today than we had just 3.5 years ago. We have $120 billion of investment that has been committed by companies that are either expanding here or new ones that are coming, and that is a record amount by far. And that underpins another 80,000 jobs that will be developed in the Commonwealth of Virginia. One reality, of course, is that AI is making its presence felt in jobs. I mean, it's changing the way work is conducted. And I want to make sure everybody has the training that they need in order to be the workforce of the future. And this ranges everywhere from the folks in advanced manufacturing all the way through to folks in marketing and customer service to, of course, yes, the tech community. And so we had a great chance to announce this week a fabulous new program that comes right on top of our VirginiaHasJobs.com webpage, where you can go and find up to 200,000 job opportunities, about half of which require a bachelor's degree, about half of which don't, all over the state, but about half of which are in Northern Virginia. Yeah. And we've added an AI page And this AI page allows folks to go get training. They can get a certificate, a credential to see how AI is going to help them be a much more valued employee going forward. Everything from from AI essentials all the way through to beginning to get a credential to become an AI application coder. And the net of it is it doesn't cost anything through the Google program. They have dedicated 10,000 free scholarships that it can be used over and over again. It's like a library book. When somebody uses it, they turn it back in, they use it again. This is about workforce of the future. It's a great step for us.
Well, and at a time when Democrats are only, whining about federal job cutbacks and sort of trying to say that they're going to try to pressure the federal government to keep jobs, you're actually looking at private sector jobs. And it's remarkable that there are that many in Virginia available right now. You would think that the other political party, the Democrats, would also want to focus on that to give people good paying private sector jobs. Governor Youngkin, the AI and tech corridor and data centers, that requires a lot of electricity. And while we see on the northern side of the Potomac, Maryland is facing an energy and electricity crisis, I saw that you were opening a nuclear power facility in Virginia. That's huge if nuclear can make a comeback in Virginia.
Right out of the box, we launched our all-American, all-of-the-above energy and power plan in Virginia. We need it all. Listen, the previous administration had Virginia's power outlook flat, and that of course, assumed a flat economy, flat job growth, and I think a flat opportunity for Virginians. And Virginia is growing. We're growing jobs, we're growing economic opportunity, and we need more power. And therefore, the opportunity for nuclear is really huge, and it's something that we have been pushing from the very beginning. And yesterday, Framatome cut the ribbon on another facility in Lynchburg that will hire another 500 people, and they've invested $50 million. And the next step for baseload, reliable, affordable, and guess what? Nuclear is clean. Power is in Virginia, and that's why we're pushing so hard. I think this will be literally the bedrock of the power future of Virginia and America.
Hey, Gov, you got a family in Iowa? Where I see you're doing a big fundraising dinner for the Republican Party in Iowa. What are you doing in Iowa?
Well, so I've been invited every year to go, and I've just not had a chance to go. And I said yes this year because, listen, my grandfather was from Iowa. He's one of 8 kids. I have a ton of cousins there, and I'm good friends with Kim. I'm good friends with Kim Reynolds. And so it was an opportunity to go talk about Virginia. And it's really so encouraging that so many folks around the country see what we've done in Virginia with our job growth, with backing the blue and seeing murders go down 30% with the reforms that we put in education. Where you're going to get that message out across the country, like Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina, places like that. Well, I'm spending the vast majority of my time in the Commonwealth of Virginia, but I have to say it is really encouraging to have people want to hear what's going on in Virginia. And so, we have a great track record. I want to make sure everybody understands it. But on top of that, it is the track record that, of course, underpins this next election. You see, this next election where Winsome Sears will not just continue, but will accelerate the great job creation, accelerate public safety and back in the blue, accelerate putting parents at the head of the table, accelerate making Virginia the best place to live, work, and raise a family. We want a Marine. We want someone who's run a small business. We want someone who's got experience, not just in our legislature in Virginia, but being our lieutenant governor, locked arm with me through this. And that's what Winsome Sears is. And that's why I think making sure everybody understands how important it is that Virginia literally went from careening to become California, which is what the old administration was trying to do, to actually being one of the leading lights in the country, is so important. And of course, Winsome's opponent wants to take us right back to California.
Yep,
I mean, she doesn't want to cooperate.
She's raising enough
ICE.
Money from California, so that's exactly what she did.
Exactly.
Governor Youngkin, we hope we're going to hear from.
That is the distinct comparison going into 2025. Is a chance for us to continue to accelerate the great things that we're doing behind a great leader in Winsome Sears, or go back to the days where they're trying to turn us into California and make Virginia one of the bottom states instead of one of the tops. And that's why this election is so important. And I'm asking everybody, it's time to go to work. We did it in 2021 because we locked arms and we did what we need to do. And it's time to get moving across the Commonwealth of Virginia to elect Winsome Sears our next governor.
We hope to hear from you a lot between now and Election Day in November, and I know that this is a passionate campaign for you because it does cement your legacy and it makes sure that we don't go backwards. And let's not forget, you laid out a lot of great achievements, but you overlooked one. Under your watch in 2023, Charlottesville, Virginia was named the Wine Enthusiast Wine Region of the Year. And that should be at the top of the list, I think. I mean, that was because of you and your wine ambassador.
Maybe your wine ambassador had a lot to do with it, Larry. And I think at the end of the day, it does point that Virginia's leading on lots and all fronts. And that's why we want to make sure everybody knows it.
Thanks, Governor Youngkin.
Governor.
Have a good one. Welcome home from Iowa. Good to have you back.
Have a blessed day. Thanks so much.
Yes. Did I mention he was in Iowa?
About 5 times, yes.
Did you know that next month he'll be in South Carolina?
Oh.
Yeah.
He probably has cousins there.
He's got family everywhere. Absolutely.
Exactly.
It's Governor Glenn Youngkin of Virginia. It's 8:17.
WMAL, making sense of the news. Live from the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios. Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
Huge news yesterday out of the Trump administration as they have called a halt to the federal funding for Gavin Newsom's Boondoggle. You remember all the ridiculous projects that the federal government has funded, things like the Bridge to Nowhere, right? Which, by the way, was not a bridge to nowhere. It was actually a legitimate bridge to a place. Not a lot of people lived on the island, but they needed a bridge. The federal government paid for the bridge. Ted Stevens, of course, they tried to ruin his political career over it. Things like that. Well, in California, for the last several years, going on, well, really, it's been in the planning process for over a decade, couple of decades. They've got a train to nowhere. They were supposed to have a high-speed train connecting L.A. to San Francisco. Then they revised the plans. Now it's going to be Fresno to Bakersfield or something, which, of course,
goodness.
we've got an
Nobody
interstate
wants to
there
go
right
there.
now. No, it's not. Well, it's just, and they have spent $135 billion. The cost overruns are insane. They haven't actually laid the track yet on this
One
thing.
piece of track.
And it reminds me, by the way, of the obscene nature of the cleanup of the Francis Scott Key Bridge, where we just started cleaning up the debris a couple of weeks ago. When Wes Moore gets all of these kudos for being such a leader in the wake of the Francis Scott Key Bridge story, and it's like, wait, we still haven't done anything. For some reason, America has accepted mediocrity when it comes to big plans and big projects. And did you know that we built the Empire State Building back in the 30s, and it took less than a year and a half. This country is capable of doing such incredible things. Secretary of Transportation Sean Duffy sort of picked that up yesterday as he was making this announcement. He sort of laid the groundwork for a renewed vision for public projects in this country, where mediocrity is no longer celebrated, where excellence is expected. Take a listen.
If we look at what America's history is and infrastructure, we have been absolutely remarkable. We built the Panama Canal. We had rail from coast to coast. We built that. We built the interstate highway system. We have a great history of delivering great projects without a ton of money and not a lot of time. And it seems like right now we celebrate filling potholes in communities, and that's a political win. I filled your potholes. Let's all give ourselves a round of applause. We're better than that. We can do better than that. And I think if we look around our country, we have spent a lot of money, and I don't think we've delivered as well as we could have. We have our roads and bridges that are becoming too old and too dilapidated. It took us 5 years to build the Hoover Dam. 5 years. 4 years to build the Golden Gate Bridge. It took 16 years and $15 billion in California high-speed rail to not lay one track. Are you kidding me? That's the American legacy right now. We can spend a lot of money and take a lot of time and not build projects. The Second Avenue project, the subway system in New York, it's going to take 4 years and $4 billion to build a mile of subway in New York. We have to do better, and we can do better.
$135 billion now. It started as a $33 billion project. Now it's $135 billion. They still don't have a completion date. And again, it's not going to connect San Francisco and Los Angeles. It's going to connect two inland cities, Fresno and San Bernardino, or excuse me, Bakersfield. This is an astounding thing. They could have given every resident of Los Angeles and San Francisco 200 free flights between the cities for the same amount of money that this high-speed rail has taken, and there's still no completion date in sight. So it's done. It's over. No more spending on this boondoggle. It's a monument to Gavin Newsom.
Yes, but I think it sends a bigger message, Larry. It sends a really big message to a lot of these surprisingly weird, it's weird that they tend to be blue states where they have these massive construction projects where the end goal is not actually delivering something. It's about keeping union jobs that going for a very long time. I'll give you another great example. I grew up in Boston. Boston had the Big Dig project, which was a massive reorganization of one of the big arteries and highway system. It was supposed to be finished in 1998. It didn't finish until 2007. $6 billion over the original estimate. And so, this is what Democrats do. And they work with the federal government to continue to get money for these projects that are never finished on time, that have to employ union labor, because then the unions support these Democratic candidates in office. And it keeps people with shovel-ready jobs, keeping them in a place of, whereas the cost overruns, there's no accountability for how the money is ever spent, because absolutely it comes from the taxpayers and it comes from the federal government. So who's going to stand up? Well, applause to our new transportation secretary for standing up against these boondoggles.
It's 8:24.
All right, coming up, Representative Jason Smith, chair of the House Ways and Means Committee and the architect of the tax portion of the One Big Beautiful Bill, here to break down what's next. Stay with us. It's O'Connor and Company at 8:30.
WMAL-FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station. Making sense of the news. News Talk 105.9. News now. Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
It's 8:37. It's O'Connor and Company. We're wrapping up our 20th hour of 20 hours of great broadcasting every single morning here in your nation's capital. It's O'Connor and Company with Larry, me, and Patrice. Good morning, Patrice.
Good morning. Happy Friday, Larry.
Patrice Onwuka, who, fresh off of her testimony before the Finance Committee, the Senate Finance Committee, where
Health Committee. Senate
Health Committee. Sorry. And Bernie Sanders mangled her name, by the way, yesterday. Let's hear that.
Ms. Elka?
Ms. Elka? I don't remember what that means. I think he's got some issues. Have you ever testified before the Ways and Means Committee in the House?
I don't think I have.
All right, well, this could be a good dress rehearsal.
I don't think I have.
The chairman is here. The chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee, I would argue probably the second most powerful person in the House after the Speaker. Certainly one of the most important people, as it was this guy right here, who crafted what has now become known as the Big Beautiful Law. He is Chairman Jason Smith of the great state of Missouri. Good morning, Congressman. Good to have you.
Good morning, Larry. Great to be with you as always.
Well, belated congratulations on getting that bill wrestled through. So many people said this couldn't be done. And I remember the original smart money in town, all the conventional wisdom said, the Senate's going to have their way, and they're going to have two different reconciliation packages, a skinny one and a different one. And it was you. Everyone forget. It was Chairman Smith who convinced President Trump that's a bad idea. They're not going to line up for both of those bills. And you're the one who said, Mr. President, we should have a big, beautiful bill, and the rest is history. Congratulations to you.
Thanks, Larry. It was the only way that we could have ever delivered on these priorities that the president campaigned on to the American people. I knew that it had to be in one bill, and it took me months. It took me months to convince my colleagues on the other side of the building in the United States Senate that this was the right direction, and also constant conversation with the president. But we got it done, and it will go down in history as one of the largest tax cuts in U.S. history, largest one-time investment in border security in U.S. history, and the largest cuts to mandatory spending in U.S. history.
Yeah, I want to get into some of those details, but it's got to be frustrating for you that you still have to deal with the Congressional Budget Office. And first of all, they're always wrong. And secondly, they never take into account the actual real-world ramifications of the revenue generated by these tax cuts. This is a 50-year-old problem, Chairman Smith, and it's got to be fixed because it really does sort of feed into this old myopic way of looking at tax cuts as something that needs to be paid for. It's our money. And whenever we are allowed to keep our money, Chairman Smith, as you know, the economy grows and the federal government actually makes more money.
Larry, it's crazy to believe that we have a government agency, the Congressional Budget Office, that counts money that you get to keep in your own pockets as spending. That just does not make sense, but that's in fact what they do. That's why this bill, they said that it would add trillions of dollars to the deficit, and that is saying you have to pay for current tax rates, not like future tax cuts, but current tax rates. And then besides that, their growth rate that they projected was 1.8%. 1.8%. Our average growth rate over the last 50 years has been 2.7%. And you know what? If our growth rate on this bill is a 2.8%, we will, in fact, according to the congressional budget numbers, be cutting the deficit by more than $500 billion.
Yeah, huge.
That's remarkable, Chairman Smith. You know, at Independent Women's Forum, my main day job, you know, we've been really trying to educate the public on the benefits of this bill. And I think it's going to be incumbent on groups like us to work with you guys to make sure that the left doesn't hijack the narrative around around these tax cuts as they did in 2017. But I'd just love to talk about the rescissions package that was passed and hopefully will be signed by President Trump today, you know, as just one of those next steps in continuing to right-size government. Can you talk about that and also what we can maybe expect in the future?
Yeah, we want more, Chairman Smith.
I'm with you. Exactly. The rescissions package delivers on President Trump's mandate to cut waste, fraud, and abuse. It eliminates $9 billion. There has not been a rescissions of federal dollars in more than a decade. So it's great that we're doing this. It's $9 billion. It's a step in the right direction. We need more because we know that we have a spending problem in our country, not a revenue problem. But one thing that I'm extremely happy about that no one's really talking about is last month, in the month of June, for the first time since June of 2016, our government brought in more revenues than what we spent. In fact, we had a $26 billion surplus for the month of June. And why was that? It was because of the economic activities, the tax receipts, and also the tariff revenue. Yeah. Of course, it's only 1 month, but it hasn't happened since June of 2016. It's a step in the right direction.
And it's shocking that no one's talking about that, right? It's a remarkable development. First time in a decade, I think, that we've had a surplus in a month. Congressman Jason Smith, is it true that President Trump refers to you as my tax guy?
He's done that a couple times.
Yeah.
I have a great relationship with the president, and I get to talk to him a lot. Either tax or trade, that's usually our conversations.
Yeah, Ways and Means covers all that stuff. You know, earlier your colleague and friend, Speaker of the House Mike Johnson, actually revealed his Donald Trump impersonation. Have you been working on one? Do you have one? Would you like to debut it here?
You know, I'll leave it to the speaker. He does a really, really good impersonation, and I'm not going to compete with him on that.
Probably wise move. All right. And, well, listen, now that there's not going to be many opportunities for you to appear on NPR, we look forward to having you here more often. I'm sure that you were a regular there. I'm sure they were going to you a lot, right?
I mean, it was multiple times a day.
Absolutely. Yeah, sure. Because of all the fair and balanced. All right. Take care. And hopefully you can get some time back in Missouri, a state I know that you love, because August is the best time to be in Missouri, isn't it? It's nice and breezy and mild. It's
a wonderful place. I will be flying home this afternoon after I have a meeting in the Oval Office, in fact, today with the president. After that, I'm heading home, and it'll be It'll be good to be at the ranch.
Don't drop names with us, Smith. Look at that. Oh, yeah, right after I go to the Oval, I'll be heading over to the airport. Look at this. What a town this is. Congressman Jason Smith.
Thank you so
Have
much,
a great
sir,
weekend.
for your time.
Thank you, sir.
See you later. Take care.
What an achievement that. Seriously, an incredible achievement.
Massive achievements.
So much has happened in these first 6 months that it is a little mind-boggling. And I hope somebody is going to write a comprehensive book about these first 6 months, culminating in last night's rescission package. Really, really historic stuff. 844.
Mark Levin, weekdays 6 till 9 on 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
All right, this is just an absolute wackadoodle crazy train interview. Joy Reid and Piers Morgan. Both television hosts who have now been banished to the streaming platforms, which I shouldn't knock it. I'm just saying they both used to have cable news and broadcast presence. Now they are on streaming platforms. Piers Morgan's show does quite well, though, mostly because he engages in wackadoodle crazy train types of interviews. So here's a back and forth with Joy Reid. Take a listen.
Now, Joy, I mean, look, let's be honest. I don't think you were fired after all those years because of your skin colour or because you're a black woman. I think you were fired because your show just got increasingly unpopular. It happens all the time in TV. That's why you got let go. Why play the race card?
First of all, I love the fact that your play the race card is your version of the race card. You literally are so fixated on trying to racialize conversations with me, Piers. I find it actually quite charming.
You racialize more conversations in your tenure at MSNBC than any host in history.
All right, Mark. All right, Piers. And the bottom line is you take an entire conversation that I had with Mark Lamont Hill and pick the bits that you can racialize because this is your shtick. And I get that this is your shtick.
You racialize everything, Joy. Come on.
I get it. I understand this is your shtick, Piers. And listen, game recognizes game. I get this is your game.
It's not my shtick.
And the bottom line,
it was your shtick.
It is your shtick, and everyone knows that it is.
Thank you.
Piers,
Thank you. Oh my! It's your shtick to racialize everything. And has Joy Reid met Joy Reid? Has she ever seen the Joy Reid show? For God's sake, Patrice, that was the entirety of her show and her shtick was to racialize
it was for
everything.
Anybody who stomached it for 10 minutes. But I give her credit here for putting him on the offense, on the defensive. Like, she literally flipped this question around and made him be defensive and saying, no, it was you. I mean, that takes a little bit of skill on her part. But, other than just, everybody's racist, America's racist. And yes, that's probably what you and Mark Lamont Hill were talking about, some form of endemic racism.
We cut that part out of it, but she was speculating that she got fired from MSNBC because she was black. And which, by the way, I love that because she's basically saying that NBC News and the folks at MSNBC are racist as well. It's funny. It's almost like everyone's racist. NBC News is racist. Piers Morgan is racist. Everybody but Joy Reid. Interesting how that works. It's 8:53.